AC/DC, an Australian hard rock band. AC/DC was formed in 1973. Founded by brothers Malcolm and Angus Young, the name AC/DC was suggested to the band when their sister Margaret saw the initials AC/DC on her sewing machine. AC/DC is an abbreviation of alternating current and direct current, and is also slang for bisexual, which the band later discovered. After many changes to the lineup, they settled with vocalist Bon Scott, Mark Evans on bass, drummer Phil Rudd, and Malcolm and Angus on rhythm and lead guitar. In 1977, Mark Evans was fired due to creative differences with guitarist Angus Young, and Cliff Williams was introduced to the band as a now permanent member and bassist. In their early career, they released 2 Australian exclusive albums, first of which being High Voltage, released on February 17, 1975, and later that same year, on December 1st, released TNT, which solidified AC/DC's open chord hard rock rhythm and blues format. On September 20th, 1976, they released Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap internationally, with songs such as Jailbreak, Problem Child, Big Balls, Dirty Deeds, and the very unique Ride On, which was an outlier of the established AC/DC style. They then released Let There Be Rock on March 21st, 1977, and Powerage on May 5th, 1978, but it wasn't until their 1979 effort Highway to Hell was released that the band was no doubt a staple in rock and roll history. Their manager requested they change the name or it wouldn't be released, but they fought until they could reach an agreement. Now with an album entitled Highway to Hell, a singer who refers to hell as the promised land, and a guitar player in a schoolboy outfit who does the Chuck Berry duck walk and bangs his head through the entire show, they were one of the most edgy and exciting bands you could ever imagine seeing. With the 80s right around the corner and the band having all the riffs for a new album, they contacted Bon to eventually put lyrics to all of the new songs. Sadly, before they could meet up, Bon had died from alcohol poisoning outside of his friend's house in his car. He died February 19th, 1980. With the loss of Bon and an empty album, the band was ready to call it quits. They went back to Australia and spent time with friends and family to grieve the loss of a friend. Bon's parents eventually told them that they shouldn't give up just because of Bon's death, because Bon would have wanted them to keep going. Now with the encouragement and goodwill of Bon's family, they started auditions for a new lead singer. They eventually settled with Scottish-born Brian Johnson, and with that recorded the Bon Scott dedicated album Back in Black, which later went on being their most successful album of all time. The first song Brian Johnson wrote and recorded with AC/DC was You Shook Me All Night Long, and later Back in Black and Hell's Bells. Thinking the album wouldn't be received well due to a new lead singer, the band just released it and hoped for the best. They've since released For Those About to Rock, We Salute You, November 23rd, 1981, Flick of the Switch in 1983, Fly on the Wall in 1985, a movie soundtrack for the Stephen King film Maximum Overdrive called Who Made Who in 1986, Blow Up Your Video in 1988, and The Razor's Edge, September 24th, 1990. The Razor's Edge is most popular among newer generations of fans for the song Thunderstruck and its metal-sounding intro. Thunderstruck is now played at every AC/DC concert along with all of their major hits. They took a 5-year lead and went on to release Ballbreaker in 1995. Then on the turn of the century released Stiff Upper Lip, also 5 years from the previous album. 8 years later they would release Black Ice, and in 2010 do the soundtrack for Iron Man 2. And finally in 2014 they released their most recent studio album Rock or Bust. AC/DC's 40-plus year legacy still stands the test of time through its purity and sincerity. They've been inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame since. In recent years, Malcolm Young has been diagnosed with the early stages of dementia and cannot play any longer, while Phil Rudd is facing legal problems. The current lineup of AC/DC today is Angus and Stevie Young, Cliff Williams, Brian Johnson, and alternating drummers.